We were doing the project with D Smoke. We did it through my production company called Better Days. And Sergio was our director, directed by Sergio on Instagram. He's the one that I actually did all the Nipsey videos with. So like we have a great relationship, known him for the past like 3-4 years. We get the job and Sergio was like, hey, so we have a project, with D Smoke, obviously the prep happens, we're waiting for approval, budget gets sent in. So we get the approval right before the weekend. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Job's awarded. So like for me, at least, I don't like to put in any permits or spend any money until I know the job's happening 100%. Right. Contracts in, jobs awarded, we're good to go. I ended up getting the job awarded right before the weekend. So I was like, okay, great. We're good to go. So I sent all my information to Film LA and I was like, hey, so we're going to be filming in Inglewood. This is where we're filming. Here's all the information. Great. Didn't hear back that day, but normally Film LA will just they're pretty on top of their stuff. Monday we were scouting. We were shooting on a Wednesday. Okay. And Monday comes around and I'm on my way to the scout. And I get an email from Film LA and they were like, hey, so the location that you're actually filming in, it's actually in a different jurisdiction. So you have to go through Inglewood City Hall directly. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Whatever. So I hit up Inglewood City Hall and I speak to the woman, I was like, hey, so I have a film shoot on Wednesday. I put it through Film LA thinking that's how I had to get the permit for this, but they told me I have to go through you directly, yada, yada, I need the information. So she was like, yeah, so she sent me all the information. She knew my shoot was on Wednesday, didn't mention anything about being a red flag, So I was like, okay, great. Before we hung up the phone, she told me that I needed to get, the actual permit application had to be physical. So I had to drop it off physically. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, easy. Right. So I go to the scout, we do the scout, everything's going good. And I fill out the permit application, I go in. She was like, okay, great. So here's all the information you have to do. You have to go upstairs to floor 3 or something like that. Go talk to Public Works. And you got to go to LAPD, get their approval and do all these different things. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And normally you would hire someone, like a location scout would be the one managing it. But my time was so crunch and I just had to get it done. So I did it myself. We finished the scout. I go to City Hall. She's telling me all these things. And then I go to Public Works and I was like, hey, I need to get this approval from you. He was like, oh, we can't give you approval until you get LAPD. And I was like, okay, great. Let me go talk to LAPD. I go to LAPD, the person that's supposed to sign off on the actual film permit and give me approval, he's not there on Mondays. And I was like, oh, so I'm talking to the LAPD office. And I was like, hey, so I have a shoot on Wednesday. And again, I'm saying Wednesday. Everybody knows it's on Wednesday and it's Monday. God. And they were like, oh, yeah, just call, leave a voicemail, come back tomorrow. We'll get you, da, 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 da. And I was like, okay, great. Sounds easy. So Public Works telling me I have to get signatures and stuff from the neighbors, put new parking signs up, do everything do all of those little things. So I went back the next day to Inglewood and I got all my signatures. I went door to door and got all my signatures for both locations. There was 2 locations that we filmed in Inglewood. And then after that, I called up the officer. I was like, hey, so just a heads up, I'm finishing up the signatures. I just have to get your signature on this so I can get Public Works to sign off and then I'll be good. And then he was like, when's your shoot? And I was like, Wednesday. Mind you, this is Tuesday, okay? He was like, oh no, LAPD needs 5 days to approve. And I was like, what? I was like, and then before he even got any deeper in the conversation, I was like, okay, copy that. I will be there in 5 minutes. He's like, wait, you're on the way now? I was like, yeah, I'll be there in 5. Rush my butt over there. I get there and I sat down with this man and I meet him in person. And I was like, all right, so what do I got to do to get this approved? How can we figure out how to get this approved? And there's obviously certain things in our production that we had, and we had a crane, we needed the crane to be on the street. And so there was so many logistical things. We had a fake gun. So there was all these little things, that we had that we needed to get approved on the permit. And he was sitting there oh no, can't do that, can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. And I'm sitting there and I was like, look, officer, I was like, tomorrow's the day we have to shoot. I was like, I'm down to do whatever I got to do to make this happen. If I need to switch my call time, if I need to tell them oh, we can only use one thing and not the other, just tell me how I can make this work. And I remember telling him, I'm sitting there with them and I look him in the eye. I was like, I'm going to get this approved. We're going to get this approval. And he's sitting there kind of okay, whatever, just brushing me off in a bit, but he was like, he was like, what sign are you? And I was like, I'm an Aries. He was like, that's why. And I was like, why? He was like, you're so positive. He was like, never in my career has anything ever gotten approved in less than 5 days. And I was like, we're going to get this, sir. We're going to get this. Trust me, officer. And then I remember him writing me down. I was like, wow, your handwriting's like my dad's. I was like, and there was a connection that we had in a sense where it was like, please help me pull this off. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes as far as like cutting things in the production and getting approval and like letting the artist know. And thankfully, this entire time, I was super transparent with my client. So I was like constantly emailing them. Like, I remember just looking in the eye and he was like, look, if you get this approval, he was like, I'm gonna make one call. I'm gonna make one more call and see if I can pull this off. Because this whole time he's like walking outside and making phone calls. And he's like outside shaking his head like, nope, like getting denied for my approvals. And I'm sitting there texting my director and I was like, all right, he's outside, we're going to be fine. We're going to get this. I kept saying we're going to get it. And I literally told the officer, we're going to get this. And next thing I know, he comes back inside and he was like, man, I don't know what angel or who you have on your side right now, but you're approved. And I was like, thank you. If I would have just like stepped back and like had somebody else do this for me, like they would have been able to be told no and take that as an answer. You know what I mean? I was told no and I didn't take it as an answer. I was like, let's figure this out. Like this guy's from Inglewood. He's also like a teacher over at the high school, a Spanish teacher over there. So like he's well known in the community. It's not like we're doing some crazy thing. Like, so it worked out. But if it wasn't me physically doing that and putting the extra work and getting my hands dirty, I wouldn't have had that shoot. So obviously you have to be prepared for the worst. And that's where the communication comes in. So like I said, I was really, really transparent with my client. I was like, there's a 50% chance that we'll get it and we won't. And that's just a reality. We got approved at a certain time and a certain date, depending on the jurisdiction of the city, like we need a certain amount of time to permit. It's just what it is. It's something that I couldn't really control, but if I could control it and if I could put the energy towards making it happen, I did.
Thanks for listening to this clip. Make sure to listen to the full interview, which is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Hit the subscribe button for more highlights and join our Black with No Cream private community for creators. Links in the description.